Food and 49ers, the only three F's I care about. Just came up with that one on the top. There we go. New Sprint Right Up podcast starts now.
Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Sprint Right Option podcast. Oh man, it's the episode I am most thankful for. It is the Thanksgiving Eve's episode of the Sprint Right Option podcast. I am Andrew Pasquini, joined as always by Jason Aponte. And I feel like something that's a little lost in the whole holiday thing is it's Seahawks week. I feel like that's kind of been like, I don't know, the secondary. I feel like we're just going to get it out hot. I feel like the Seahawks stink this year, and maybe that's why I'm not super concerned.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not going to bite those words at all. Say the hottest thing you can say in the first minute of the podcast when everybody's here. But I feel like the story is a little more Thanksgiving than it is the actual game. Jason, am I wrong? How are you doing too?
I just want to ask you a question. I'm doing good. I want to ask you a question. Bigger Thanksgiving villain, Peppermint Patty from Charlie Brown Thanksgiving or the Seattle Seahawks?
Probably Peppermint Patty.
100% Peppermint Patty is the worst
Patty.
Thanksgiving villain. Peppermint Patty is the worst Thanksgiving villain for a lot of, and this is a great way for us to start. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. Charlie Brown Thanksgiving is something that Averly and I watch no matter what, right? Like, and it doesn't have to be on Thanksgiving. Peppermint Patty literally imposes her will on the Thanksgiving dinner and shows up with a bunch of people and forces Charlie Brown into trying to make dinner when Charlie Brown doesn't know how to make dinner. And then the dinner that Charlie Brown presents, which is like popcorn and like candy and a bunch of stuff, she goes crazy on him about. Right now, Peppermint Patty might be a bigger villain than Darth Vader. So, again, I just wanted to throw it out there just so we can get people in here. Make sure you like this video and make sure we
I think there's
like
only
this video, subscribe to the channel.
I think there's only 3 Peanuts like content that needs to be absorbed by everybody, and that's the bangers that are the holidays of the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, Thanksgiving Charlie Brown, and then the Christmas one, which I forget what that one's called. But starting with Halloween, like it's just Charles Schultz was writing bangers. You know, Charles Schultz was born in my hometown of Santa Rosa. Do you know he like chilled there? All that. That's where I'm going tonight. So here we go. We're talking Peanuts here on the Sprint Right Option podcast. Not like a big divisional game or anything like that's happening tomorrow. We're just
not like revenge is on the mind of 4.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So let's not bury the lead, Andrew.
No,
let's not bury the lead.
No.
This Seahawks team is not the team that 49ers fans want revenge on.
No.
This Seahawks team happens to be the team that's in front of us.
Yes.
But we want revenge for Jed York's horrific tweet that night after. I've never had a worse Thanksgiving ever.
Oh, yeah.
Than that Thanksgiving. That was the worst Thanksgiving ever. First year Levi's. Cap throws 2 picks to Sherman. Feels like the end of the Harbaugh era. That is what we need our lick back for, Andrew Pasquini. And this Seattle Seahawks team just has to bear the cross of that because it wasn't their fault. But Pete Carroll deserves it.
Casually retweeting, thank you, hashtag 49ers faithful for coming out strong tonight. This performance wasn't acceptable.
What a horrible
I just
tweet.
found it. I just retweeted it just for vibes.
What a horrible tweet. As if the owner has any say-so into how the team plays.
It scares me that tweet was 9 years ago.
Yes.
9 years ago.
Yes.
I don't like it.
Yes.
JKBG, Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgivings, fellas. Going to get a custom turkey tomorrow. So just like my ex-wife. Oh, no, I'm afraid to read. Not reading the rest. Thank you, JKBG. We love you. I started reading it and I was like, I can't finish this. We love you, JKBG. I gave it the information. I started off the show so hard. Pretty sure it's because he uses the term blood and cuz he talks so smooth and quietly, but thinks and all. Yeah, I mean, I try my best. I try my best to not be as wild.
I hung out with Andrew Pasquini this weekend and it was electric. And he walked up and he was like, "What up, blood?"
I was sober too. That was the thing. Like you got unfiltered Andrew there. I think sober Andrew's a little more dangerous than non-sober Andrew.
I had a blast hanging out with Andrew. We took a bunch of pictures. I thought that was really fun too, as well. Too, man. We had a blast.
being used on those photos are being used on the thumbnail today.
Oh yeah.
Back to the Seattle talk. Yeah, it's okay. So here it is. This is the official start of the Seattle preview. Let's get into it. If and I think I said this last year, Jason, and I teased it on the tweet about divisional games are harder and blah blah blah. If you took the Seattle Seahawks roster and like this bar for bar roster, including the coaching staff, and you put them in a New Orleans Saints uniform and say, we're playing the New Orleans Saints on Thanksgiving tomorrow, I probably have the 49ers by 3 scores. But because it's the Seahawks jersey and the grumpy bird and they're wearing the neons tomorrow. I wish they were wearing the silver helmets.
Oh my God, what an opportunity missed to match the 49ers white with their own outfit.
I wish they could wear the silver helmets, but they're wearing the neons, which, by the way, the neons at nighttime are a little scarier than the neons in the daytime because the sunlight reflecting off that green makes it look like a very candy-ass green, but in the darkness, it looks a little scarier. But if this same roster was the New Orleans Saints, I'd say Niners by 3 scores. But because it's the Seattle Seahawks, Jason, I'm a little more hesitant to say the 3 scores because of something I just found out. The Niners have a chance for the first time to win 4 consecutive games in this series. The last time that happened was 2010 to 2012. And after that win, the Seahawks went on to win 17 of the next 20. So that 17 of the next 20 is why I'm afraid of the Seahawks uniforms. But Jason, I'm here for you to tell me that they're just uniforms and the Snyder team is better than the Seahawks, so they're going to win by 3 scores, right?
No, I think Andrew nails it. Andrew nails it. My football mind, my football gut, my football heart says the San Francisco 49ers are the better football team.
Yes.
And they are by a mile. But I've watched too much bullshit happen and you know what I wanted to bring up, and I think this is a good conversation for us, Andrew. Even when Seattle found ways to beat the 49ers, when they were evenly matched, I still could make the argument that the 49ers were the better team.
Yes.
That they were the better team.
Yes.
But that never seems to fucking matter when Pete Carroll is their coach. No. And it never seems to matter in that stadium, right?
No.
So that's exactly where I'm at with this game. I know the 49ers are better. I know they coach better. I know they have better players. I know that they can execute. But there's always some bullshit that happens. Always. Right? And look at, and here she is. Good to see Steph. We do a show called Bully Ball on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. And we talked about it. Fake punts, fake field goals, all just of a sudden now, and just some guy who's never caught passes in the history of his life catches a touchdown pass. I think that's exactly where Andrew is and where I am. It's like, man, I know this team is better than this team, but I still can't throw myself out there and say, oh my God, they're just going to blow this team out, even though they are that much better than them, Andrew. And I think Andrew's right.
So in case you want the duality of my brain, that was one thought I had of hey, these uniforms scare me. But on the other side, Brock Purdy, don't know if you've heard of him. He's having a pretty good season, perfect passer rating, shenanigans, all that stuff. And I had a thought that crossed my mind, Jason. And this is really, if you want me to pull behind the curtain of how I prepare for this podcast, I look up numbers and all that stuff, but it's really a lot of random questions I think of. And I'm like, hey, this question doesn't really have much of a basis to it, so I'm going to ask Jason it, obviously. We watched Brock Purdy beat the Seahawks twice last year. 17 for 26, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions the first game with some broken ribs. I believe it was a rib injury, if I'm remembering correctly. And then the playoff game, he goes for 332, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I would say there's a bit of ownage in 2 games of Brock Purdy against the Seattle Seahawks. And the thought I had, Jason Aponte, because I don't think you're going to realize when you're at the beginning of it, more so when you're in the middle of it. So I want to be out in front of it. Is this the beginning of a domination of the Seahawks like we saw Russell Wilson type domination of the 49ers? Is 2 games too early to dive into that conversation? Or because also if you look at it, it's also lining up kind of like it was, and this quote might be the one that bites me biggest in the ass. Russell Wilson was coming in when the Seahawks window was just opening and the 49ers was starting to close. Obviously, there's a couple of years of history with Russ versus the Niners, but after the Harbaugh year, it was a lot of this window's closed for the 49ers as the Seahawks are peaking. Now you're looking at it here. Niners window is very open, I like to believe, especially with Brock Purdy. And this is where I might get bit in the ass. It seems like the Seahawks window might be closing, he says, hopefully after a decade of Seattle dominating. So is this the beginning of a Brock Purdy domination of Seattle?
I fucking hope so. I know you guys come here for like objective and like football analysis that like really pushes your brain, but
yeah,
I want to talk about Brock Purdy just a little bit now that you brought it up. And I want to look at the numbers. Right now, Brock Purdy has about 130 dropbacks more than he did last season. I just want to go through certain numbers that have jumped up. His completion percentage is ridiculous at 70.2%. That was 67.1 last season. 8.1 last season. Yards per attempt, 9.7 this season. 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Last year, 13 and 4. But I do want to look at some deeper numbers real quick. 7.6 touchdown percentage last year. 6.5. Okay, that's a drop off. 2.4 interception rate. 1.8 this season. His on target rate is up 73.7 to 72.7. And I wanted to look at his deep passing a little bit. It's 12 attempts last season for 4 completions. This season, 24 for 15. And I did want to dispel a quick little narrative, Andrew Pasquini. What was the side that they said that not Andrew Pasquini can't throw to because he can throw to all of them? What side did they say Purdy couldn't throw to? That they said like he can only roll out one way, he can only throw that way.
I believe it's the left side. Turn the shoulders and throw it. Yes.
So left side, he threw 33% of his deep passes and 17 to the right, 50 in the middle. This season, 17% to the left, 38 to the right, 46 to the middle, and his completion percentage has risen. Dare I say, Andrew Pasquini, and I think we talked about it on our post-game show, Brock Purdy's good at football.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're kind of creeping to that point where the small sample size doesn't really exist. We're pretty much at a full season of throws for him. Paul, thank you. This is a great point. Pete Carroll 1-6 with against SF without Russell Wilson. Obviously, it's more of a Russell Wilson domination than it is a Pete Carroll one. We'll see that tomorrow. But we're really creeping to that point of the sample size is no longer small, and this is what Brock Purdy is. I think my biggest complaint about Brock Purdy at this point is, can he do it in a close game? Because we haven't really seen that yet. But I think we overrate the whole game-winning drives stat a little bit, because I would prefer the stat of fourth quarters not played, because Brock Purdy has a couple of those this season because the Niners just beating the brakes off of certain teams. I came prepared with a Brock Purdy stat as well, kind of specifically for this game. Seattle's kind of a Brock Purdy stat. Seattle's defense has a 21.1% blitz rate this season. That's the 7th lowest blitz rate in the NFL. Brock Purdy, when he's not blitzed this season, he has an 113 passer rating, which is the highest passer rating in the NFL when not blitzed. So he can kind of pick those defenses apart. But to kind of make it a damned if you do, damned if you don't, he also has a 117 passer rating when blitzed, which is the 3rd highest in the league. But the point I'm getting to here is the 49ers offensive line, and there's a lot of talk around it because they might be they haven't been doing a good job updating the injury report. Oh, here we go. Here's the update. Aaron Banks limited practice this week. Spencer Burford did not practice all week, so maybe trending towards being out. So the Niners might be without 2 offensive linemen. But the 49ers have had 2 instances this season where they have played teams with a bottom 10 blitz percentage. Those 2 teams were the Rams, who currently have the 10th lowest blitz percentage, and the Cardinals, who have the 4th lowest blitz percentage. In those 2 games, the Niners allowed 9 combined pressures. In the other 9 games the Niners have played, or the other 8 games the Niners have played this season against teams with non-bottom 10 blitz rates, they've at least allowed double-digit pressures. So when you don't blitz the Niners and you don't have pass rushers that can get there when you're only sending 3 or 4 guys, the Niners are going to handle it pretty well. When you start blitzing, that's when the issues come in. So that might be something to watch. And that one win was Matt Hasselbeck in 2010, which Matt Hasselbeck, I don't think we talk enough about Matt Hasselbeck in the grand scheme of things. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in NFL history, not like a top 10, top 20, but he had a solid run. He was pretty good.
He made a Super Bowl.
I'm not saying he's like in the top 15, 20 conversation, but
can you tell the story of the NFL without Matt Hasselbeck?
Yes, you can. Absolutely. That one time he said that we're going to get the ball and win it, proceeded to throw a pick six to Al Harris, or was it Al Harris? Who was it? Was it Al Harris?
It was Harris, 33.
Pick six. Let's see. You just type it up, and you're going to take the ball, and we're going to win. Here we go. They call it in the NFL. There it is. So that's all I got.
All right.
Back.
Man, so about Matt Hasselbeck, I think a lot of the discussion around him is less about that play and about that Super Bowl in which, God, the refs like jobbed Seattle that entire time, man.
Yes.
Like I remember Ben Roethlisberger gets credit for the Super Bowl win, and he didn't even throw a touchdown pass in it. Antoine Randall L did.
Yep.
And Sean Alexander was electric back then, you know. But back to the game that actually like is here. Like I love that Paul brought up that Pete Carroll is 1-6 against the Niners without Russell Wilson.
Yes.
Russell Wilson is the bane of 49ers fans' existence, and he is the reason that we are so hesitant. But I will push back on this a little bit, Paul. Didn't they win that game? Oh no, Russ was a starter in that game. I forget. I'm sorry. It was in 2020. Well, the game where Aziz Al-Shaair went crazy. 2021. It was 2021. Okay. Aziz Al-Shaair won a green dot, played the best game that I've seen a linebacker basically played. Jimmy, Kittle went crazy. Jimmy sold a little bit in that game. But Russ was the quarterback. So that does kind of hold up, man. But at the same time, like, I guess I'm afraid because Pete Carroll's going to have a play where, like, the referee, like, rips off his jersey and he's a Seattle guy and, like, he just runs out and he catches a pass, or, like, they're going to run a fake field goal and throw it back to, like, throw it back to the punter and he runs it. Like, I expect Seattle to play like a team that is, like, the wounded animal. And I'm afraid. I'm just afraid of that. I am. Look. All right. I know the 49ers are going to win this game. And I'm going to look back on everything that I've just said and just be like, Jason, you're a moron because it's like none of it's good. But you can't fault me for feeling how I feel right now. No. You cannot. I don't think so. Okay.
No, and in case you're wondering, like Russell Wilson has hurt us for years now, and we don't even have a ban on his. We've talked more about Russell Wilson in this podcast than we have Jimmy Garoppolo the entire season since we kind of put a ban on his name on this podcast. And Russell Wilson hasn't been on Seattle in 2 years now. That's how much Russell Wilson has hurt us, and why we're always going to be nervous. So I'm not gonna. I saw it. I know what he's doing. We love you, Day for that. Not gonna read it. So thank you. I'm good.
This is all the more reason that you should subscribe to Jason Abate's YouTube channel.
Yes. So we get comments like this. We love it. So Seattle definitely is going to do weird things. One thing I want to point out, something that might really help the 49ers, not necessarily because they're pretty good against the run. Seattle's not very good running the ball this year. They have the 25th most rushing yards. They're going to be without Kenneth Walker. And I just don't know if you can, and I know we're kind of bearing the lead. I'm assuming Geno Smith's playing. It could be Drew Lock. Throw everything out the window that we're talking about. If Drew Lock starts, Niners are winning by 450 if Drew Lock plays tomorrow. But
I wish.
No run game. It's a struggling run game. Maybe a better option than Zach Charbonnet. Maybe just I don't know what to do with the Seattle run game. He's averaging more yards per attempt on fewer attempts. How is this Seattle offense going to score? And the obvious answer, I think, Jason, is going to be that receiver on one side of the ball. They got a couple of receivers that I got some stats on in a minute, but without the run game, without Kenneth Walker, a perceived pretty good running back, how does the Seattle offense move the ball against the Niners defense?
Yeah, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, JSN, Jackson Smith and Jiba for the uninitiated. That's where it is. And unfortunately, as much as I love Tig, and I'll get it, obviously we're going to get into, the loss of Hufanga. It's concerning because the way that they do it is with throwing the football. And it seems like everybody is targeting not Diamador Lenore, not Embry Thomas, Charvarius Ward. And Charvarius Ward was very good last year against DK Metcalf. Very good during the regular season. In the playoffs, he gave up the long pass. But, yeah, man, I'm nervous about the secondary. If there is a way for the 49ers to lose this game, there's two reasons that they're targeting Charvarius Ward. One, they're trying jump balls, which Trey Palmer and Amari Cooper are showing, like, hey, I can get there and do that. Or they're praying for a penalty. I mean, they targeted Charvarius Ward 11 times last week. Baker Mayfield did. That's a trend now at this point. So it's the secondary. Get the ball out quickly. You can try that with slants. I don't think Tyler Lockett is your slant guy, even though he's going to be in the slot. Like, he's not built to catch passes over the middle and take hits. That's not your guy. DK Metcalf has learned ASL, Andrew Pasquini.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's incredible that he did this, and I think this is actually something we should applaud.
Yes.
He learned ASL so he can trash talk and not get flagged. And he scored on Akilla Weatherspoon, and he signed 44 is my son. And you know what, man? You've got to give that man respect for that.
Yeah.
I do. Like you're trying to get a leg up. I love that.
Yeah. So here's my thought on DK Metcalf, and I'll tell you here. I'll share this a little personal anecdote for me, Jason Aponte. So growing up, my favorite player was Terrell Owens, right? Like one of my favorite players was Terrell Owens. I think that's the case for you too, right? Yeah.
Mine too.
Well, my dad was always one of those grumpy curmudgeons, like, oh, he's too much of a showboat, blah blah blah. A couple of weeks ago, I think I told you about my friend's nephew, the Raider fan. Telling him how he should be a Texans fan because like Raiders are. I asked him who his favorite player was, and he said it was DK Metcalf. And my instant reaction is, why is that? You're like, he's a showboat, he trash talks. And then I sat there and was like, shit, I'm getting old. Like that's what my dad said about Terrell Owens. I'm saying it about DK. So I'm officially, because of that conversation, I'm in on DK Metcalf. I'm not going to be the old curmudgeon who's complaining about DK Metcalf. Something I looked at. I have a podcast. And statistically, there we go, Jason. DK Metcalf has taken 75% of his snaps wide on the left side of the offense, while Charvarius Ward is taking all but one of his snaps this season on the left side of the defense. So that kind of gives you, he's on this side, Metcalf's on this side. That might give you a lot of Metcalf versus Ambry Thomas matchups. And then also might give you a lot of DK Metcalf versus Jair Brown. I don't know. Safeties, I know, a little more fluent. It seems like Jair Brown was playing more on that side of the defense against who they just played, Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay, yeah, he played that. I know that can change, but I think that's what makes me a little nervous is if DK is playing 75% of his snaps on the side that we're going to see a lot of Ambry Thomas, that's going to be concerning. And then the other concerning thing to me too is he is 7th in percentage of his targets over 20 plus yards. So they like to take deep shots. I think it's about 20% of his targets or 20 plus yards downfield. Ambry Thomas against DK Metcalf in deep shots, and Ambry Thomas has been fine. I'm going to use the word fine in the last 2 games because I'm afraid if I commit to anything stronger than just fine, like that's me saying, oh, he's been good and it's going to bite me in the ass tomorrow. But the potential matchup of Ambry Thomas going one-on-one down, and I know we're going to get some Charvarius Ward matchups because if 75% of his snaps have been on the left side, that means 25% have been on the right, and he's going to get some snaps against Charvarius Ward. But just picturing a deep shot of Ambry Thomas one-on-one against DK Metcalf's a little scary. So I think that's the long way of talking. Hey, if Seattle doesn't run the ball well against the 49ers tomorrow, I know there's questions about Geno Smith's health and all that. But just the presence of DK Metcalf, and I think part of it is that 2020 or the 2019 game when Seattle was trying to walk down the field and win the game, they just kept throwing the ball to DK Metcalf. So it's that. Scott, thank you. I'm the curmudgeon. FDK and his writer age issues. There you go. Thank you very much. Let Scott be the curmudgeon. But yeah, so I think that's the point I'm getting to is DK Metcalf scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, and again, so much of this has to do with what we've seen as a 49er fan against Seattle. So it's not, don't mistake this for us believing that the 49ers won't be able to, pull this out just being the team that they are. It's PTSD. A lot of this is PTSD. It's the reason that I walked out of Levi's after the 49ers beat the shit out of the Bucks, and my heart started to hurt already. I had heartburn already thinking about, like, oh my god, they have a game in a few days on Thanksgiving. It's all right. You have normal anxiety against Seattle, but then when you add Thanksgiving, and there's that stupid tweet that Jed York sent, and there's that like vision of Richard Sherman eating that turkey leg. Like,
can't use that tomorrow.
That's what has me not nervous, but I'll be damned if I'm gonna sit here and like be like, oh, Niners by 800. If we win, I'm gonna be one of those guys that didn't pop shit at all before the game and just like goes crazy after the game.
Yeah.
So I don't care. I'm just letting you know now.
Yeah.
But my God, man, I will not sit here and be like, oh my God, Niners by 1 million. Like I want that, but there's no way I'm gonna like throw it out here in the ether.
No, and let me start maybe comforting you a little bit and how important.
Oh, I love that.
Comfort me, stretch of 3 games. I got you. I talked about it a little bit on Sunday, but I looked at it a little more and confirmed. I confirmed the math, Jason. Niners go 3-0 in this next 3-game stretch. Seattle, Philly, Seattle. And that would, if they go 3-0 in that stretch, I mean, Seattle on math. I'm not a math guy. We showed that when I said it was a 52-yard pass from Purdy when it was actually 42. Not a math guy.
That stat was cited in another podcast, and I didn't have the heart to like change it.
You didn't have the heart. Did they say 52 yards?
They were like, the courtesy of Andrew Pasquini. I was like, oh no.
Right underneath, I said I'm not a math guy. But the point still stood. It was a good throw.
It was a great throw.
But if the Niners go 3-0 with 2 of those games being against Seattle, Seattle would be 0-2 in those games, which would mean if they lose that middle game to Dallas, they'd be 0-3 in that stretch. That would put the Niners up 4 games with 4 to go and the tiebreakers. So with 2 wins in the next 2 weeks, 2 Seattle losses in the next 2 weeks, a Niner win against Seattle in a few weeks would mean NFC West champions. So a little early to start thinking about it. I know the Niners have that big game against Philadelphia coming up next week that we're going to obviously talk about ad nauseum because that's the game of the year. That's the game we've had circled since May. But something to look forward to, that this is the first step to clinching the NFC West within the next 3 weeks. So there's a positive.
Yeah, 100%. But I will say this. I wrote an article on NinersNation.com. I don't know if you know Andrew and I write for NinersNation.com. But this is a bird gauntlet.
Yep.
Bird gauntlet. 5 straight weeks. Seattle, Philly, Seattle, Arizona, Baltimore. All 5. What is the record that you believe? Yeah, and here it is. Here it is. And it starts on Thanksgiving and ends on Christmas. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What is the record that the 49ers need to have out of these 5 games, Andrew Pasquini?
For what?
For
the 1 seed?
Be in positions for the 1 seed, just to make
5-0.
you feel good. To make
5-0.
Well, 5-0. All right. 5-0 is best case scenario.
Yeah.
100%.
If you want to talk about the 1 seed, you can't really lose anymore. Seattle or Philadelphia.
Thanks a lot, Kansas City.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kansas City. Thanks a lot, Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
No, thanks a lot, Justin Watson. Thanks a lot, Travis Kelce, too. He played like shit, too, man. Hold on. We need to have a conversation now about whether George Kittle's better than Travis Kelce now.
Yeah, we're back on that bullshit.
Season. We're back. We're back on that now. We're back on that now. We are back on that now because now you're dropping passes and you're yelling at people. No. George Kittle is cooking right now, and you need your pop star girlfriend to be up there. George Kittle don't need that.
Maybe. I saw somebody was talking earlier, floating the idea about maybe Kelce retiring at the end of this season. Maybe we.
Well, you know what, man? What I watched, and it don't got to do nothing with fantasy, man. You dropping passes now. You looking bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So it's I would say 5-0 if the 1 seed is I'm all in on Philly, dude. I know some people in 49ers Twitter took that game where it's like, oh, the Eagles look beatable. Then guess what, Jason? If the Niners beat Kansas City in the
In
exact
that
way the
same
Eagles
fashion,
did,
we'd be like, oh, we're world
Niner
beaters.
dog, just crown us champions now. No, dude, like there's something about going into Kansas City on a cold night and beating. And I know Kansas City's offense isn't what it used to be, at least not yet. Patrick Mahomes is a dude where they could be Patrick Mahomes is Alabama right now, where they could be the last team to make the playoff. And I think that they're going to win the Super Bowl because of Pat. Did you know, Patrick? Here's a fun stat, Jason Aponte. Patrick Mahomes has never lost a road playoff game.
Oh, wow.
Do you know that? Well, it's also because he's never played a road playoff game, but he's never lost the road
playoff
game.
Isn't it a neutral site, the Super Bowl?
Yes, it's a neutral site. It's neutral, yeah, but that's not a road game. It's just a neutral.
But all right, okay. Semantics.
I mean, technically speaking, he lost a road playoff game in that Super Bowl because it was in Tampa against Tampa. So I mean, if you
home field advantage, yeah.
But I know we're talking about Philadelphia now.
And Brady didn't wear a mask.
I know we're off of this. Yeah, liberals, man. But I know we're more on the Eagle conversation than the Seattle one. But Jason mentioned it. For me to feel comfortable about the 1 seed, 5-0 in this next 5-game stretch has to be.
You have to be Philly also, but like we're kicking the can down the road. But the only thing that I will say is this: look, the 49ers have the team to get it done this week. They do on Thursday, right? Even off of this, right? Kenneth Walker's not going to play. Geno Smith's a little banged up. You're still the better team, even if those guys suited up and they were full health. Like, I think that's where we should be at, especially when you look at the way the 49ers have played. But going off of a mini bye into Philadelphia, it's like now you really get a chance to load up. And this is it. Like, so this is the biggest game of the season on Thursday. Yeah. And then the biggest game of the season is next week against Philadelphia.
Yep.
The 49ers, it's all in front of you. Aaron Boone will say that. It's all in front of us right now. It's all in front of us. All we have to do is take it. And you know what? We can fix it. We can fix it. Yeah. It's right there in front of us. Yeah. Like, you got to bang the table.
We can fix it. It's right in front of us. There. You know Giancarlo's going to get hurt. Look, it's right in front of us.
Look, we know what we need to do, and it's right there to fix it. Okay, we got to fix it. That's it. But yes, you can beat Seattle this week. I think you absolutely can if you find a way to get out of this game healthy.
Yes.
And Aaron Banks is questionable.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there. So that's not doubtful. But if you win this game on Thursday and you get that little mini bye to get ready for Philadelphia, now you get that advantage that you haven't had because you haven't had that rest. So it's all in front of the 49ers to take care of business right now. If you beat Philly in Philly, if the 49ers beat Philly in Philly, I don't care if we don't win the number 1 seed. That sends a message to we've done it.
Yeah.
And we can do it again.
Yes.
So regardless of that, right? Like the best you can do is the number 2 seed. And I don't know, man, who's going to beat Detroit, because even I thought Chicago had a chance, but the Bears are the Bears. But I think you need to show. I mean, Brock Purdy's already shown that he could win in Seattle, but you need to show them,
dude,
that you can beat them there.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear. And I know we don't like to mention the name because we don't like it, but there's a very famous WrestleMania main event. It was Triple H versus Shawn Michaels versus Chris Benoit. And the whole storyline was Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Like they're the two big names. All they do is pay attention to each other. Benoit was just kind of like the side story, and Benoit goes into WrestleMania, wins, all that fun stuff. The Detroit Lions like almost feel like that third, where it's like everybody's talking about the 49ers and everybody's talking about the Eagles, and the Lions are just kind of here. And that's something that concerns me. I know we're kind of off the Seattle conversation at this point, but we're at that point where like every win, like we're talking playoff positioning. So it's a little harder not to look at what Philly or what Detroit's doing. So I'm interested to see how this NFC lays out, because it really feels like there's 3 teams in the NFC, maybe 4 that are legitimate in terms of Super Bowl contenders. I don't think any of the teams not named, the 49ers, Eagles, Dallas, and Lions, are winning a Super Bowl or even making it. Oh, What you got?
No, I just see this. It says Lions are frauds. They got blown up by Baltimore.
Baltimore's good.
I want to remind you, Baltimore's record against NFC opponents that don't see them, it's like 23-2.
It's something stupid like that.
It's really ridiculous.
Under Lamar Jackson.
I am not going to put that on the Lions, and I will tell you this.
Let me see where I can find
I am definitely afraid of Christmas Day. Yeah. Definitely. Like, that's the one. If there was a 5-0 stretch in here, possibly, I could see it. But there's no way in good conscience, and I'm going to tell you this right off the rip, that I can say that that they're going to beat Baltimore on Christmas Day. I feel more confident saying that they'll beat Philly than they will Baltimore.
Well, the nice thing is if things kind of fall, and it gets tough with it being a 2-game lead, but let's say hypothetically the Niners go 3-0 here and the Eagles lose their next 3 games and the Niners have a 1-game lead. That Baltimore game can mean not a ton, because I know in terms of tiebreakers, A, the Niners would have the tiebreaker over Philadelphia in that hypothetical scenario I just threw out, but B, I think non-conference games don't really hurt you in terms of that. So that's just kind of where I'm at. I don't know, Jason, where do you want to go from here? Because I feel like we kind of previewed the Seattle game and our feeling. I feel like all of you know it's going to be difficult. You thought this one was tough. Wait until we have to preview Seattle in 2 weeks, where we've already kind of just talked about things. Like, I was writing my numbers to know article for this game, and I'm like, what stats can I find in 2 weeks that are going to be wildly different than these stats today? And so I don't know how I'm going to preview Seattle in a couple weeks, because like what's the point?
I don't know, man. I think
like in terms of a content side, like I know like playing Seattle in 2 weeks, 2 games in 3 weeks, like that's whatever. But in terms of a content, like how the hell are we supposed to make content in 2 weeks on a game that happened a week before?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I think a lot of this conversation about Seattle is just off vibes, less than it is real football. Because if it was, let's just like you said, if this was the New Orleans Saints, Niners by 1,000,000, like we're just having we're just vibing on Thanksgiving, like we're just like there's no like, but because it's that other team from there, yeah, that's what makes this a vibes game.
Mm-hmm.
A vibes game. But all right, so let's talk about the significance of Talanoa Hufanga not playing in this game, Jair Brown. I think that's something that a lot of people are interested in.
Mm-hmm.
I have been very much in the camp that I believe that Jair Brown was going to see the field. I didn't mean that he was going to see the field based on an injury, a season-ending injury. But I want to make sure I say this clearly, and I've said this on 2 other shows, and I want to make sure I say it on this one clearly.
Yeah.
I am not downplaying the loss of Talanoa Hufanga, because he's an all-pro and he's somebody who has been great. What I am saying is Jair Brown's skill set matches with Talanoa Hufanga, and this is something that they want to pair together going forward, because Deshaun Gibson's not going to be here probably next year.
Yes.
So they wanted 2 guys who play fast, who are downhill, who are ball hawks, who have a nose for the football. And if you need to know about nose for the football, Jair Brown got the Talanoa Hufanga special on Sunday, literally standing somewhere where the ball just gets bounced to them. Yeah. Look, there's going to be moments where Tig, loses somebody in coverage, but you dealt with that with Huff. That was our main concern. But you are going to have those plays that he comes up with the football. He plays down. I mean, all right, let me ask you this. I watched the film. Sunday, they asked Hufanga to cover Mike Evans in the slot. I mean, Jair Brown.
Yeah.
They've never asked Hufanga to do that.
No.
They can do more in terms of like coverage. So for me, sure, there'll be moments where you look at it and you say, man, that's a rookie. But there won't be so far of a drop-off in play with Tig and Hufanga. And that's all I want to say. And I want to make sure I'm clear. I'm not trying to downplay Hufanga, but I'm just saying skill set, they're similar. Very similar. And Tig is faster.
Yeah, and something to keep in mind too, and I don't know what this means, if it means anything, but the 49ers moved up 14 spots to take Jair Brown.
Yep.
You don't move up 14 spots for somebody you're iffy in. And that's really all I got on it is this is a situation that's not ideal. I think the Niners, if they were to ask to be able to keep their all pro safety for the entire season, who is very good at forcing interceptions or at least creating interceptions, I don't think this is how they'd want to do it. But Niners moved up and got this guy. They valued him so high, they picked him before a kicker. You got to feel not good about the spot they're in, but you got to feel okay that there's at least a solution. A couple weeks ago, if there was an injury at the cornerback spot, what's the solution? Obviously, it's a little different with Samuel Womack and Luter healthy coming back, but there's somebody there to step in. And yes, he had his welcome to the NFL moment on getting beat on a 44-yard play against Tampa Bay, but he showed out and he showed something, and that's all you could ask for. So am I saying that Jair Brown is going to be the level of player Talanoa Hufanga has been? No, but can we get that production because of a defense that surrounds him that is the 49ers defense? A defense that, if you didn't realize, leads the league in points against, something that kind of feel like got lost in the Steve Wilkes conversation of a couple weeks ago. It's a good defense to be in. It's a good defense to learn on the fly in. I think you saw that a little bit with Talanoa Hufanga, because you got to remember, Jason. I mean, you look at this situation. Talanoa Hufanga in his rookie season was a special teams guy. He got some time on the field. You remember his big play was the touchdown against Green Bay. He recovered the fumble or the block kick, and then he stepped in his second year and became an All-Pro safety. You saw that a little bit with Jair Brown. Didn't get much field time this season. I made the joke that the most field time he saw was running on the field for Ambry Thomas's return against Jacksonville. But now you're just moving that timeline forward a little bit. Instead of being your week one starter for Deshaun Gibson next season, he's stepping in this year, and you're going to find out real quick. It's an ideal situation for him to be in this defense. Is it an ideal situation for the Niners? I don't know. I do not know.
I think it is. And when I spoke to him off the record, and if you guys want to check out the interview that I had with him, it's on the YouTube channel where you can check out, that I spoke to him for about 5 minutes. But off the record, he implied that they wanted to get him on the field early. And that's why one of my preseason predictions was Jair Brown's going to see the field. Like, he's going to force his way onto the field. I didn't want him to force his way onto the field because of an injury, but this is where we are. But the way that he carries himself, the way that the people spoke about him, and you hear Kyle say, I've noticed that he was ready to go, all those things. And when you combine that with the skill set, I am not as worried as certain people are. Right? I'm just, and that's not me downplaying Talanoa Hufanga, because the future of this safety position is going to be Hufanga and Tig. They wanted two guys that are going to play fast, that are going to be ball hogs, that have a nose for the football. And I think Tig even said after the game, interceptions are what I do. And he told me in the interview, I'm a ball hog. You can't teach my skill set. You can't, right? Hufanga's on the sideline and the ball gets tipped and it's an interception of Hufanga and he's sitting on the bench. That's the stuff that it's no way to teach. And I think that both of them have that. And to Andrew's point, they identified him early. They wanted him. Wilkes is there. Wilkes is gonna, make sure that he's in a good spot. Gibson is your perfect wingman in terms of being safe. I'm not as nervous as many people are. And it's not because I'm downplaying Hufanga. He's an all-pro. But man, Tig's gonna hoop, man. I think Tig's gonna hoop, man.
We literally watched a young safety step into the secondary last year and become an all-pro. In Talanoa Hufanga, I don't know why you can't see that. I'm not saying Jair Brown's an all-pro yet.
Hold
I'm
on,
not jumping,
Andrew.
But to say that there's going to be good production out of him is not a far-fetched thing.
I had someone tell me, "Oh, that interception just landed in his hands." I was like, "Oh, so you're describing every single Hufanga interception almost ever?"
Yeah. Technically speaking, describing every interception, because every interception lands in the DB's hands.
Well, but there was one where he made a play in the Rams game, but it's always like the tip goes up, and I'll just like, all right, 29's got it.
Yeah,
Like, and he's just under it. Yeah, and he's just like under it somehow.
Yeah.
I don't understand how to explain it, and you can't quantify it, you can't teach it. But Tig's got the same thing that Huff has. Same thing.
Exactly. All right, Jason, prediction portion of the podcast. Great time to remind people, underdog, use the promo code Aponte, match your first deposit up to $100. It's the time of the podcast where we say, let's see what props they got going and just pick them off the top of our head. I got 3 49ers. I'll give you 1 Seattle Seahawk as well, so you can make your bet or make your pick. I probably shouldn't use that word. Make your picks. You got to have 2 different teams. So I'm going to give you 3 49ers, 1 Seahawk. Try and get you some money. I am going to go Brock Purdy higher than 252.5 passing yards.
Easy.
He surpassed that number twice against the Seahawks in his 2 games. I'm going to go Fred Warner higher than 8 tackles and assists. Fred Warner's a tackling machine. Do that. And then I'm going to go Jake Moody higher than 2.5 extra points made. I think the Niners, they score some touchdowns, at least 3. So I feel like I've gotten burned on this extra point prop bet a few times, but we're gonna try the 2.5 higher. And then I am gonna go for my Seahawks pick. What am I gonna go? You know what? I'm going to go DK 5 receptions higher. I think Geno Smith's going to try and target him and try and get him going early, try and set the tone in the passing game. So I'm going to go higher than 5 catches for DK Metcalf.
Okay. I'm going to take Brock Purdy over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think that's like easy money. By the way, if you don't follow on Niners Nation, I swept the board with my same game parlay. It was 1.5 Purdy. Everything that I hit, I took hit. So I miss on underdog, but I'll be missing earlier than that on other ones. Kittle over 52.5. It's a primetime game. This is George Kittle's time. Like, this is literally George Kittle's time to shine 100%. And for me, I'm going to do higher Geno Smith, half an interception. The 49ers are taking the ball away in an incredible fashion right now. I think the only team that has more is Jacksonville, but they have the most interceptions. 100% they have the most interceptions. Okay. I'm going to go back to defense, I think, at this point, because I want to stick with the 49ers. I don't want to do too much when it comes to that. Let's see. I'm going to do 1.5 field goals made with Jake Moody, because I think the 49ers are going to score in this game. And I think they're going to be in that, I swear to God, Moody, if this is the week that you don't, come through for me, we're going to have real problems aside from, where you were drafted. But I think it's an easy bet, man. 8 tackles for Fred Warner, and assists. Like, I think that's super easy. So I've got 52.5 George Kittle over. I've got over half an interception with Geno. 8 over with Fred Warner. Over 1.5 with Brock Purdy on touchdowns, and Jake Moody over 1.5 field goals. So
there it is. There's that underdog prop pick. Remember, use the promo code Aponte at your first deposit. Match your first deposit up to $100 at underdog. Jason Aponte, give me the prediction. Who's winning? Why? How? What? Who?
Niners win 31-17. I think this one is a game that we're kind of overthinking just based on past history, and we're overthinking it based on how we've been hurt in the past. It's like you can't take feelings into a new relationship when you're hurt, and you just have to like kind of move on. And that doesn't mean that the person in front of you is going to hurt you. And I think this team in front of us is not going to hurt us. So I've got us 31-17. Niners win on Thanksgiving, and I don't care who's listening. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, Jed York. Let Jake Moody eat that big turkey leg, the Flintstones turkey leg, in the middle of the stadium, because he deserves it.
I think if Niners Nation is my professional wrestler prediction, I think I'm a little closer to you. But this is the goddamn Sprint Right Option podcast, and I'm a sports entertainer, as they say in AEW. 49ers 27, Seattle. I'm going to go 49ers 28, Seattle 27. Jake Moody hits a 55-yard field goal to win the game. They set the table up. And who is it eating the turkey at the 50 up at Lumen? Is it Lumen? Is it Century League? I forget. Is it Lumen's again? Is it Lumen's?
It's Loserville.
Jake Moody gets the turkey leg at the 50-yard line, famously recreating that image of Richard Sherman, but it's funnier because it's a kicker. So I'm going to go 49ers 28-27 game-winning field goal by Jake Moody. How do they get to 25 before the game-winning field goal? I don't know. Use your imagination. But when Jake Moody hits a 55-yard field goal, they'll win the game tomorrow night and is eating a turkey at the 50-yard line. Just remember I said it here.
Need it for the content, man. I need it. Richard Sherman, he gets 2 interceptions on Levi's, and Russell Wilson standing there like he did something. Yep. I need Jake Moody to be the person. Like, I don't care how the 49ers win. If they win by my prediction, Jake Moody should eat it. Like, I just need that for the content. And also, I need this game so we can dunk on that nerd from Seahawk blogger, whatever the fuck, Evan. We need this game for that. We need this game for that, like just for that, because he sent a tweet saying in 3 weeks, see you soon, Niners, on Thanksgiving. Guess who never forgets? The North never forgets.
So
the North remembers.
So we can go after Evan, but hot takes Anna untouchable. Remember that. Keep that in mind. There we go, Jason.
She's untouchable because she doesn't feel stuff.
There you go. Jason Aponte, it's been wonderful. It's been fun. We're gonna get out of here. We're gonna let people enjoy their Thanksgiving. I think the plan is for the review of this game. I think what we decided is we're going 4:30-ish on Sunday Pacific Standard Time.
7:30.
7:30. We're gonna try and get that sweet spot in between the afternoon games and the Sunday night game. You guys will be home. I know you guys will be home. I'll be home watching football. So we're not going to go post game tomorrow. We're going to let you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving. We're not going to go Friday. We're going to let you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving with your family. We'll be back Sunday about 4:30, give you the Seahawks review. Jason, anything you want to say before we get out of here for Thanksgiving?
No, just guys, enjoy your time with your family. You only have a certain amount of time with them. So enjoy your football, enjoy your food, and don't forget that family's more important than anything. And there's a lot of people that wish they could be with their family for different reasons. So don't ever take it for granted.
Yes, absolutely. Just to kind of repoint out what Jason said, nothing more important than family other than 3 hours at 5:20 p.m. tomorrow night. Make sure you're in front of a TV for that. But other than
waiting all day for Thursday night.
Waiting all day for Thursday night. Jason said it first. I'm infecting him. I love it. Yeah, man, just enjoy your Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm thankful for each and every one of you in the comment section. This podcast is not possible without each and every one of you, because we do this to have fun, but we also try and do this to entertain you guys a little bit and take your mind off of things for at least 2 or 3 hours a week. We're very thankful for each and every one of you for watching, and each and every one of you who partake in the conversation and all that. Just be sure, have a safe Thanksgiving. If you're looking for some 49ers content to watch tonight, I know a little show called Public Access. It's on YouTube, Sour Death Sam. He'll be running it. He's going to be with Ashley.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know her last name.
Ariana.
Know her last name. Is that how you pronounce it, Ashley? Ariana?
Yes.
So tonight, 7 p.m. on Sour Death Sam's YouTube channel. Be sure to go check that out. And if you do, tell him that the Spring Red Option Podcast guys sent you. I'm sure he'd appreciate with that. Hind, you should get Ryan Aitnori on your FPL team. Look at me giving fantasy Premier League advice. Maybe Wang Hee Chan. I'm running with Wang Hee Chan and Pedro Neto. Those are my two guys that I have from Wolves, but Aitnori is a good pick. Jason, any thoughts on fantasy Premier League?
Sure, why not? Anything that Andrew loves, I love.
Erling Haaland, just take him too. He's probably a safe bet. Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's go Niners. Enjoy your time with your family. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy 31st birthday tomorrow, Miley Cyrus. Hope you have a good one. What's up?
Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Sprint Ride Option Podcast.